Alright everyone, I hope you're all doing well. There's one thing that every world needs, and that's a couple of characters who really think they're more capable than they actually are. So today, I want to introduce you Tubs and Bumble. They're usually found causing trouble somewhere around Dognam town. They're no evil masterminds, and they're certainly not geniuses. They're not the ones making big plans, they're the ones carrying them out. If somebody needs a slightly questionable job doing, these two usually end up getting involved, usually with mixed results. So I thought I'd show you where these two come from while I redraw them. Like a lot of my characters, these two started life as rough sketches in my sketchbook. I spend a bit of time playing with the overall silhouette, as I've an idea in my head and I want them to feel heavy. Not just physically heavy, but like they take up space whenever they walk into a room. They're the sort of blokes who stand in a doorway of a pub and fill it. While I'm working through the drawing, I'm always thinking about body language. With these two, I wanted everything to feel heavy. Thick necks, or no necks, big heavy forms. Even when they're standing still, I want them to look like they'd move slow but with purpose. Tubs, the closest thing the pair has to a brains department, although that's setting the bar fairly low. He's bigger, a little calmer, and now and then he'll have what sounds like a sensible idea. The trouble is, that sensible idea usually lasts about 3 seconds before the pushing and shoving starts. Tubs isn't particularly cruel, he certainly ain't ambitious. He's actually quite a gentle soul underneath. What motivates him is pretty simple. He wants enough cash to get by, some nice food, somewhere warm to watch the football, and most importantly, to look after his brother. And that's about as complicated as life needs to be. He's fiercely loyal. If Bumble gets into trouble, Tubs is there without hesitation. He doesn't overthink things, mostly because he doesn't think very much in the first place, which, as you'll probably discover in future videos, isn't always the best quality to have. Bumble is the younger brother, shorter, wider, and somehow even less likely to question what's going on. If Tubs occasionally has half a sensible idea, Bumble's usually already halfway through doing something before anyone's had a chance to explain why it's a bad idea. He's incredibly easygoing. He loves football, burgers, catnip, a pint in the local, and spending time with his brother. Life's wonderfully uncomplicated. Despite looking quite intimidating, he's probably one of the friendliest cats you'll meet, provided you're not a dog. Although interestingly, he doesn't mind a badger. My favourite thing about these two isn't really either character on their own. They're an inseparable duo. They've grown up together, they got in trouble together, and now they seem to drift from one questionable job to another, together. Neither one really wants power, nor dreams of taking over the world. They just want life to be a bit easier than it has been. They're products of a rough East London upbringing, where loyalty mattered far more than status. Treat them fairly, they'll stay loyal. If somebody threatens one of them, well, that's when the furniture starts flying. One thing I've been trying to do with Dognam Town is make sure not every character is completely good or completely bad. Bumble and Tubs sit somewhere in the middle. They definitely make life difficult for the heroes, but they're not driven by hate. They're driven by belonging, the feeling of being part of something. They like knowing where next week's wages is coming from. They're aware they're working for something bigger, but whether they actually understand what the bigger thing is, that's another question entirely. Visually, I tried to make them feel like brothers without making them identical. They're similar shapes, similar clothes. I went for a sportswear theme for both of them. Early on, I had this idea of reverse Siamese cat features because it looks like a skull or a balaclava. This ended up on Tubs. I went for typical Garfield stripes on Bumble because it made his face look even smaller on his vast head. But they've got enough differences so you can tell who's who straight away. I think if you can recognise a silhouette, you've probably got a strong character design. So that's Bumble and Tubs, the two loyal brothers, the two hired heavies, and probably the last pair of cats you'd trust with anything valuable. They might not be the cleverest characters in Dognam, but they're definitely some of the most fun to draw. As always, thanks for watching. If you've been following the development of this comic world, please give the subscribe button a little tickle. It's all appreciated, because there's still plenty more characters, locations and behind the scenes videos to come. See you in the next one.